This is Lima syndrome, which, I mean, some people probably never heard of this. However, this is, well, Stockholm syndrome, but kind of reversed. It's more of like, well, it's basically like captors falling in love with the person, the victim. Lima syndrome is a psychological phenomenon and a reverse version of Stockholm syndrome. It occurs when captors or hostage takers develop feelings of sympathy, understanding, or compassion towards their captors. The name Lima syndrome was coined after an incident in 1996 when a group of armed Peruvian rebels took several hundred hostages at the residence of the Japanese ambassador in Lima, Peru. After months of negotiation, some of the hostage takers started to develop positive feelings toward their captors. Unlike Stockholm syndrome, which is characterized about hostages sympathizing with their captors, Lima syndrome involves captors sympathizing with their hostages. The reasons for Lima syndrome vary, but can include factors such as realization that the hostages are not the enemy, empathy towards their suffering, or cultural norms that promote compassion and hospitality. Lima syndrome highlights the complexity of human behaviors and the potential for empathy and understanding, even in adversarial situations. Like it's very interesting. I mean, if you're wondering what causes it, it's poorly understood, but I mean, it's within the youth. Many of the MTRA members involved with the hostage crisis were teenagers or young adults. Ideology: many of the captors had little knowledge of the actual political issues behind the operation and appeared to be involved more for monetary gain. Other factors play a role, like Rappert. Establishing a friendly Rappert with the captor could contribute to a positive bond. Remember that many of the captives in the Lima crisis were diplomats who would have had experience with communication and negotiation. Or time. Spending a prolonged period with a person could promote the growth of a connection. However, this is unlikely to have played a major role in the Lima crisis, as many hostages were released on. What are some examples of Lima syndrome? Beauty and Beast. Beauty and the Beast. Well, I meant. In the classic fairy tale Beauty and the Beast, the character Belle is taken as a captive by the Beast in revenge for her father's trespassing. Initially, the Beast is cruel to her and locks her in the room. Unlike someone experiencing Stockholm syndrome, Belle has negative, resentful feelings toward the Beast. Over time, the Beast's feelings toward Belle soften. He identifies with her plight as a prisoner and allows her freedom within the castle grounds. Still wishing to leave her captivity, Belle warily notes these changes in the Beast. But when Belle's father falls ill, Belle asks the Beast to let her leave so that she can care for her sick father. The Beast's feelings empathy for her allows her to leave the castle to return home. It should be noted, when Belle leaves, she has no plans to return to the Beast's castle. Eventually, she does so to prevent the reformed Beast from being killed by the townspeople, who would have been provoked to kill him by an antagonist named Gaston. A real-life case of Lima syndrome is documented in a Vice article about the positive connection that formed between a man in Uttar Pradesh, India, and his kidnappers. It's actually a good example of both Lima syndrome and Stockholm syndrome at work, as the kidnapped man began to relate to the captor's values, and the kidnappers began to treat him kindly, and ultimately release him back to his village. How can you cope with Lima syndrome? there's not really any, well, information or how to, stop it. If you've been involved in a situation which you believe you've developed Lima syndrome, seek out psychological counseling to help you better understand and cope with the feelings that you're experiencing. Okay, bye.